They found Professor Blackwood's body on a Tuesday morning in late October. I was the one who discovered him. But I'm getting ahead of myself. My name is Thomas Hartley, and 3 months ago I fell in love with a man who was trying to save my life. I just didn't know it yet. It started the way these things always do, with the summons I should have refused. "Mr. Hartley, stay behind, please." It was my second year at Oxford, autumn of 1873. I was 20 years old, a scholarship boy from Manchester, whose entire future depended on keeping my head down and my nose clean. My father had died in the mills so I could be here, crushed between machinery on a Tuesday morning, while I was conjugating Latin verbs with the vicar. I owed him more than scandal. Professor James Blackwood was everything I wasn't. Old money, Cambridge educated, untouchable. He was 36, dark-haired with silver at the temples, and surrounded by rumors that followed him through the college like smoke. 3 of his students had left Oxford suddenly over the past 4 years. Nobody said why out loud, but in 1873, some accusations didn't need voicing. Men like him were dangerous. Men like me couldn't afford danger. "Your translation of Sappho yesterday," he said when the lecture hall had emptied. "Where did you learn Greek?" "My vicar taught me, sir. I've a facility for languages." More than a facility. He was studying me in a way that made my skin prickle. You understood what she was really saying. Most students miss it entirely. I had understood. Sappho's longing for another woman, disguised in beautiful words that made it almost acceptable. Almost. "I'm preparing a translation of Plato's Symposium," he continued. "I need an assistant. £10 a term, Tuesday and Thursday evenings." £10 meant I could eat properly, buy books instead of borrowing from wealthier students who looked at me like I was dirt on their shoes. It meant surviving another year. But the symposium, I'd read it. I knew what it contained, Plato's dialogue on love, including love between men, the kind that could get you 2 years hard labor under the Criminal Law Amendment Act, more if they wanted to make an example. "What would the work involve, sir?" "Translation, research, copying manuscripts." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "Discretion." That word hung in the air between us. Discretion. I understood what he was really asking. "I'm a discreet person, sir." Something shifted in his expression. Relief, maybe. Or recognition. "Thursday evening, then. 7 o'clock. I should have said no. Should have walked away right then. Instead, I nodded. His rooms were in the oldest part of college, all wood paneling and leather-bound books stacked on every surface. The fire burned low in the grate. Gas lamps cast shadows that made the whole place feel like a secret. That first evening, I just copied manuscripts while he worked at his desk. We barely spoke, except for instructions. Professional. Safe. But I noticed things. The way he held his pen, the small scar on his left hand, how he'd pause sometimes and stare out the window to nothing, like he was remembering something painful. The second week was the same. I'd arrive at 7, work until 10, leave through the back staircase so fewer people would see. We developed a rhythm. He'd read passages aloud in Greek, and I'd translate, and sometimes we'd argue about word choice or meaning. Those arguments were the best part. He never treated me like a scholarship boy, just like someone who understood language the way he did. The third week, Lord Christopher Pemberton came to visit. I was shelving books when he walked in, tall, golden-haired, everything I wasn't. An actual aristocrat with a title and money, and the kind of confidence that came from never being told no. He barely glanced at me before addressing Blackwood. "James, darling, you can't keep hiding away. The Carringtons are hosting a salon." "I'm working, Christopher." "You're always working." Pemberton's hand landed on Blackwood's shoulder, possessive, familiar. Bring your little scholar if you must, though I can't imagine he'd have much to contribute. Something hot twisted in my chest. I had no right to feel anything about that hand on Blackwood's shoulder, no right to the anger that flared when Pemberton dismissed me like I was furniture. "Good evening, Christopher," Blackwood said coldly, stepping away. "Oh, don't be tedious." But Pemberton was watching me now, his eyes sharp. "Tell me, boy, what's your name?" "Thomas Hartley, my lord." "Hartley. From the north by your accent. Scholarship student?" "Yes, my lord." "How industrious. I do admire ambition in the lower classes, though one must be careful about climbing too high too fast. The fall can be quite devastating." The threat was barely veiled. I felt it like a hand around my throat. "Christopher," Blackwood said sharply, "leave." When Pemberton finally left, the room felt smaller. Blackwood stood at the window with his back to me, shoulders tight. "You should go early tonight." "Sir, did I—" "Just go, Thomas." He'd never used my first name before. It sounded wrong in his mouth. Or maybe too right. I left confused and lay awake that night, trying to understand what had just happened. The next Thursday, I almost didn't go. Stood outside his door for 5 minutes, trying to convince myself to walk away. But I needed the money. And, if I'm honest, I needed those evenings too. The only time I felt like more than just a poor boy playing to be a gentleman. I knocked. "Come in."
He looked terrible, like he hadn't slept in days. There were papers scattered across his desk, and he was drinking whiskey, even though it was barely 8 o'clock. "Sir, are you—" "Sit down, Thomas." He poured himself another drink. "I need to tell you something." I sat. Lord Pemberton is not what he appears to be. He runs a ring of aristocrats who prey on scholarship students, boys with no money, no protection, no one to defend them. His hand shifts slightly. They seduce these boys, compromise them, then blackmailed them. When the boys can't pay, they're ruined, expelled, sometimes arrested on sodomy charges. My mouth went dry. The 3 students who left Oxford? I was trying to protect them. I suspected what Pemberton was doing, tried to warn them, but I moved too slowly. He looked at me then, and his eyes were haunted. "There was a boy 4 years ago, Lord Ashworth. 17 years old, brilliant, from a poor family like yours. Pemberton seduced him, then demanded £20 a month to keep quiet. When Ashworth couldn't pay, Pemberton told his father everything. They sent the boy to one of those medical facilities that promise to cure degeneracy." He paused. "He hanged himself last winter. He was 21. I couldn't breathe. Jesus Christ! I'd been gathering evidence for months, letters, testimonies from boys too frightened to come forward while they're still at Oxford. But I need more before I can go to the authorities." He set down his glass. "And Pemberton's noticed you, Thomas. The way he looked at you last week, he's marked you as a target." "What do I do?" "Stay away from him. Stay away from anyone in his circle." He hesitated. "Stay away from me, too. I put you at risk just by hiring you." "I'm not afraid." "You should be." He stood up, started pacing. "These men are dangerous. They have power, money, connections. If they decide to destroy you, they will, and there's nothing I can do to stop them." "Then why tell me at all? Why not just dismiss me?" He stopped pacing, turned to face me. "Because you deserve to know what you're walking into. Because keeping you ignorant won't keep you safe." His voice dropped. "Because I'm selfish enough to want you to stay anyway." The air between us felt electric, dangerous. "I'll stay," I said quietly. "Whatever the risk, I'll stay." Thomas. I've spent my whole life being careful, being small, being what everyone expected.
I stood up, faced him. I am tired of that. If I'm already a target, then at least let me choose what I'm risking everything for. He crossed the room in 3 strides and kissed me. It wasn't gentle. It was desperate, furious, 6 weeks of carefully maintained distance breaking all at once. I grabbed his coat and pulled him closer and thought, yes, this, finally, this. When we broke apart, we were both breathing hard. That's why you need to leave. Because I want to keep doing that and it will get us both arrested or killed. I don't care. You should care. Thomas, if they catch us, if anyone finds out, you'll lose everything. Your education, your future, possibly your life. I can't be responsible for that. Then don't be responsible. Let me make my own choices. His eyes closed. God help us both. He kissed me again and again, and when he pulled me toward his bedroom, I went without hesitation. I'm not going to describe what happened next. Some things are too private, too sacred. But I can tell you, I'd spent 20 years being invisible, and for the first time in my life, I felt truly seen. When morning came, I was in his bed watching gray light creep across the ceiling. His arm was across my chest, his breath warm against my shoulder. I have to go before anyone sees, I whispered. I know. Tonight? His arms tightened around me. Every night he'll have me. I got dressed in the cold dawn, still tasting him on my lips. That's when I saw it, a cream envelope under the door. Inside, in precise copperplate, I know what you are. You have until Monday to leave Oxford, or everyone else will know too. I didn't tell Blackwood about the note. Couldn't bring myself to destroy what we'd just found. Instead, I avoided his rooms for 3 days, trying to figure out what to do. On the 4th day, he found me after breakfast, grabbed my arm, pulled me into an empty classroom. Where have you been? His eyes were wild. I thought, God, Thomas, I thought they already gotten to you. I showed him the note. All the color drained from his face. When? Friday morning. 3 days ago, and you didn't tell me. His voice cracked. You've been dealing with this alone? I was trying to protect you. Protect me? You're the one at risk here. His hands were shaking. Thomas, if this becomes public, I might be dismissed, socially ruined, but I have money, family property. I'll survive. You have nothing. You'll be destroyed. I have you. That's not enough. Love doesn't pay for lawyers. It doesn't stop magistrates from sentencing you to hard labor. It doesn't... The door opened. Lord Pemberton stepped inside, smiled like a cat who'd cornered a mouse. Well, he said softly, isn't this intimate? My blood went cold. Blackwood stepped between us. Christopher, what do you want? What I've always wanted, James. Your attention, your loyalty, your affection. He examined his fingernails. But you keep choosing these beautiful, broken boys instead. First Ashworth, then the others, now this one. It's insulting. So you destroy them? I save them from him. Pemberton's eyes glittered. Did James tell you about Ashworth? How the boy hanged himself, rather than live with the shame of what James did to him? Blackwood moved fast, slammed Pemberton against the wall. You killed him. You seduced him, blackmailed him, drove him to it. Prove it. Pemberton's voice was choked but triumphant. Go ahead, darling. Tell the authorities. Explain why you're so invested. Explain your relationship with all these boys. Blackwood released him with disgust. Pemberton straightened his collar, still smiling. Here's what happens next. Mr. Hartley leaves Oxford. Today. Quietly. Say it's a family emergency. He looked at me. Do this, and your reputation stays intact. Refuse, and that note becomes the first of many pieces of evidence the dean receives, along with testimony from several students who've witnessed inappropriate behavior. My throat closed. Fine, I'll leave. Thomas, no. It's the only way. I couldn't look at Blackwood, couldn't bear to see what was in his eyes. I'll write to my vicar. There are teaching positions. How practical, Pemberton purred. You have until tomorrow morning. Oh, and James, don't even think about following him. I'll be watching. One letter, one visit, and I'll ruin you both. He left, whistling. I didn't sleep that night. Lay in my narrow bed, trying to memorize everything. The bells of Oxford, the weight of this loss, the feeling of Blackwood's arms around me. Near midnight, something tapped at my window. I opened it to find Blackwood on the ledge outside, 3 stories up. Are you insane? I hauled him inside. You could have died. I can't let you go like this. He grabbed me, held on tight. I'm done being afraid, done sacrificing people I love to monsters like him. James, if you fight back, he'll destroy you. He's going to destroy us anyway. At least this way we go down fighting. His eyes were fierce. I have evidence, months of it. Letters, testimonies, proof. I was waiting until I had enough to guarantee conviction. But I'm done waiting. If you expose him, you'll have to expose us too. I know. He cupped my face. I'm not asking you to stay. But I wanted you to know that loving you made me brave enough to try. That even if we only had one night, it mattered. I kissed him hard. I'm staying. I'm fighting with you. Thomas, no! It's the only way. I spent my whole life running from who I am, hiding, being ashamed. I grabbed his hands. If I'm going down anyway, let it be for something that matters, for someone that matters. He pulled me close, buried his face in my neck. We might lose everything. We already have everything right here. We went to Dean Ashcroft Monday morning with all of it. The blackmail letters, testimonies from 3 boys Pemberton had ruined, documented payments. The evidence was damning. These are serious accusations, the dean said. They're true, sir, I said. I'll testify. Mr. Hartley, you understand what that means. You'll have to admit to intimacy with Professor Blackwood, face those consequences. My mouth was dry, but my voice was steady. Yes, sir, I understand. He looked at both of us for a long moment. Then he sent for the police. The trial lasted 3 weeks. Other boys came forward once they saw we were fighting back. Their testimonies built a wall Pemberton couldn't break through. I had to testify about the note, about Pemberton's threats. The prosecutor asked about my relationship with Blackwood. I answered honestly, watching the jury's faces shift from curiosity to disgust. Are you ashamed, the prosecutor asked, of your unnatural relations? I looked at Blackwood in the gallery, thought about Ashworth, dead at 21, about all the boys who'd been too afraid to fight. No, sir, I said clearly, I'm not. Pemberton got 7 years hard labor. The other men in his reign got lesser sentences. But the court couldn't ignore what we'd admitted. Oxford asked Blackwood to resign. My scholarship wasn't renewed. We'd won, but it cost us everything. We left Oxford on a cold November day, took the train west to Cornwall, to his family's house by the sea. It was gray stone on cliff tops, with waves crashing below and seabirds wheeling overhead. Far from scandal, far from the world that said loving him was wrong. We couldn't marry, couldn't be open about what we were to each other, but we could be together. And that was enough. For 6 years, that was enough. They found his body on a Tuesday morning in late October 1879. I'd woken early, made tea, wondered why he hadn't come down. Found him still in bed, cold to the touch. The doctor said his heart simply stopped. Sometimes that happens. He was 42 years old. I'm writing this 3 months later, still in our house in Cornwall. I'm 26 years old and I had 6 years with the man I loved. 6 years of mornings and translations and walking the cliffs with his hand in mine where no one could see. The world said what we had was wrong, criminal, sinful. But I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry for loving him, for fighting beside him, for choosing 6 years of truth over a lifetime of hiding. James Blackwood taught me that some things are worth risking everything for them, that silence protects monsters while destroying the innocent, that loving someone fully, even for a brief time, matters more than surviving carefully for decades. The boys who testified after us, they're still alive, still free. That matters. The ring we broke, it can't hurt anyone else. That matters. And the 6 years we had, the mornings waking beside him, the arguments over Greek verbs, the kisses in the rain on our cliffs, those matter too. I'll live the rest of my life alone now. I'll never love anyone else. But I don't regret a single moment. Some loves are worth everything you risk for them. This one was, and I'd do it all again, every dangerous moment just to have had him at all. That's the story. That's the scandal. That's the truth about Professor James Blackwood and the scholarship boy who loved him. They can write whatever they want in the history books. I'll know what was real.
Appreciate you watching. Hit subscribe, like, and share. See you in the next story.